So we have some new batteries and grinders here to test to see who truly comes out on top. So here are the Ridgid with the new 4 amp hour EXP. So like normal, these are averages of 3 runs each here. Now we do have the battery price there on the left and then the tool only price there on the top there by the model number. The new 4 amp hour tablets here, yeah, quite impressive. Pushing over 1,000 watts with it there. Producing power here, at least with this tool, near the 8 amp hour. Hopefully when we get the 8 amp hour tablets here, we can push above that 1,387. Ryobi with the new 4 amp hour Edge. Ryobi with the 12 amp hour. Yeah, pretty much the same numbers here when we look at that 4 amp hour coming in at around what the 8 amp hour would produce in watts. But what is interesting here is not really much of a boost here going to the new model. And in all reality, you need to be running that 12 amp hour to see roughly a 200 watt gain. So physically, we do see some changes. The guard itself is pretty much the same as the previous version. Comes with one grinding disc and cutoff wheel, along with the shield for the cutoff wheel. The tool is now held in the grip, and you no longer have that easy release here. Versus the older version, you have that flip release with the availability to also use a tool there, along with a much better grip here, in my opinion, being that this one is rubberized versus hard plastic here. Another thing you'll notice is the paddle, yes, is a little bit bigger on the newer generation versus the old, along with which way the safety has to be depressed. And the other big change is on the previous version, there was no protection here, where you do have a screen here now for that inlet air. The only other big change here is the previous version was made in China, whereas the new version is made in Vietnam. The new Dewalt 410 with the 8 amp hour power pack. The 415 Dewalt with the 8 amp hour power pack. Now the new 410, yeah, didn't perform very well, seeing it's supposed to have a higher watts out than the 415. With them overall pretty much performing here identical. With really the only change here being the cover, and now you have that speed adjustment from 3,000 all the way up to 9,000 RPM with 6 positions there. And the 410 is chip ready. But again, what's interesting is the 415 is claiming 1,350 watts, while the 410 is claiming 1,640 watts. Bosch 13P with a 12 amp hour. So yeah, Bosch, you want to be running the 8 or 12 here. We don't have that new 8 amp hour 8 plus tablets yet here in North America. Yes, I know some of you guys in Europe do already. Hopefully we see that soon. And I would expect the watts to be pushed above that 1,500 at that point. So you have 2 positions for the handle there. It does have an isolator, 6-inch guard, 5/8 thread because this is the North America version. Wrench if you need it there. Your paddle trigger. Intake vents on the bottom, which are removable. One of the few tools in North America that accepts the 12 amp hour battery, which that's another thing that's different than the European market. Our 12 amp hour battery is limited to only certain tools. With one big plus here, in my opinion, that it is made in Germany. The new 3670 with the 12 amp hour forge. So the new Milwaukee here laid down in some impressive numbers when you run the new 8 amp hour or 12 amp hour forge, producing roughly 600 watts over the 2880. So a gain of over 25%. Overall, pretty much the same design here. Housing is a little bit bigger there. Comes with a 6-inch guard with that cutoff wheel shield. Now the guard holder is the same design, so you can take a 4.5 or a 5 and put it on here instead of this 6-inch. Makita 40 volt GAG14 here with the new tabless 4 amp hour. 40 volt with the 8 amp hour. Makita 40 volt, yeah, laying down some impressive numbers, especially if you're running that 4 amp hour tabless and up, with the 8 amp hour producing almost 2,500 watts. Removable intake vents on either side here, paddle trigger. This does have an isolator here between the handle and the motor assembly. Rubberized grip. Comes with a 4.5-inch disc along with the shield for it. A 6-inch shield with a cutoff wheel cover for that, along with a wrench. And it is made in China. So we look at max watts with the battery provided in these kits. Yeah, the new Milwaukee here comes out on top above the 40 volt Makita here, producing double the watts of what you would get with the 2880 with the 6 amp hour forge. Almost the same story here when we look at max watts of a 1.7 to 6 amp hour battery. Here the Milwaukee 3670 running that 6 amp hour forge, producing roughly 1,891 watts. And then the 2880 Milwaukee. Things do change here when we look at 8 to 15 amp hours. So that Makita 40 volt running that 8 amp hour, yeah, in 20 volt wise, it would be considered a 16 amp hour, producing 2,480 watts, followed by the Milwaukee and then the Bosch. Now to me, this really tells me the performance of the grinder. Of course, when we load it down to about 6,000 RPMs, here is the watts produced, with the Makita 40 volt here coming out on top, followed by the Milwaukee and then the Flex. So here you have it. I think the new Ryobi, you actually go backwards here. Yeah, this one does have screens, but other than that, you lose the rubberized grip. You lose that nut with that flip out tab there. Really the big thing here is the 4 amp hour Edge battery. But ideally, I think you want something higher amp hours for longer runtime, considering angle grinders consume a ton of power. Same thing in my opinion here with this new 410. Really, you gain the adjustability of speed here and the tool link. Other than that, the performance seemed identical almost there to the 415. But overall, if you have any of these grinders, you're going to want to be running this new 8 amp hour power pack. Now the Bosch did all right. Yes, this is the 13. I know in the European markets you do have the 15. We don't have that in North America. We also don't have, again, that 8 amp hour plus tabless battery. So I would assume here that the performance of this would jump up there if I had that 8 amp hour tabless. But definitely something here to consider if you're running the Bosch line. The GAG14 here, XGT Makita, impressive numbers. Definitely when you're running this new tabless battery. It's crazy that this almost produces 2,500 watts. I can only imagine if we had a tabless 8 amp hour how this would perform. But if you're running the 40 volt line, yeah, this is a powerful grinder. Number one, I'm actually going to give it to Milwaukee here. Crazy performance when you're running this 12 amp hour forge. I'm really looking forward to see how this performs in other tools, just by the jump in performance here on these angle grinders. So here you have it, my first and second pick there. Yes, I know I need to test the 60 volt Dewalt. That's going to happen at some point. As we move up to these higher performing grinders, they are quite expensive, so I can't do them all at one time. At the end, like normal, going to be the stop time, dB, and I did collect some vibration numbers here where your palm would sit on the handle, along with those general tech specs. But with that, thanks for watching. Hopefully you found this video useful. Let us know in the comments if you have any of these. I'll leave a link here to part 2 as well, along with the product links below. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll catch you on the next one.